Hello, today we're going to be talking about algae blooms and the effects on water systems.
This presentation is brought to you by Joel Wilson and Lawrence Borden.
What are algae blooms? Well, algae blooms are made up of algae, which can be single or multicellular organisms depending on their colonies or filaments. Algae is classified as a plant species. However, some specimens are mobile and are almost considered an animal cell or an animal species. Algae are photosynthetic plants usually, and they use the energy from the sun to metabolize and produce their own energy.
They convert inorganic matter into organic matter. However, they deplete the water of oxygen when they decompose.
They occur frequently in fresh and marine environments. How do algal blooms occur? Well, algae can be found in most bodies of water depending on the amount of sunlight and nutrients available. They convert the inorganic material to organic matter and oxygenate the water through photosynthesis. Sunlight, temperature, and an increased supply of nutrients, especially phosphorus, will usually dictate the amount of algae growth to become an algae bloom. When there's an increase in phosphorus or nitrogen from fertilizers, chemical processes, detergents, they can cause algae to grow and not die off as it would if those limiting factors were not added to the water. These blooms can reduce the water clarity, change the color of the water depending on the species. And when algae grows out of control, it masses together and forms scums or mash, which can cause water intakes and foul beaches due to the vast amount of algae present in the water.
Algae blooms can affect water from depleting the aquatic environment of oxygen. The large algae blooms grow at a rapid rate with excessive nutrient loading and from available sunlight. As the bloom reproduces, new growth covers the old growth and algae dies. The decomposition of the algae lowers the amount of dissolved oxygen in the water, and it may release harmful toxins that have been built up in the algae. As the algal bloom continues to grow and decompose, it depletes the oxygen in the water, killing all fish and all other plant species before completely taking over the aquatic system.
Algal blooms can affect both lentic and lotic systems, which means they can affect both moving and still moving waters, as seen in the Neuse River in North Carolina or in Lake Erie, which is part of one of the Great Lakes.
This footage of Lake Erie on October 8, 2011 shows algae blooms extending 2 to 3 kilometers in Clearview, Ontario. These blooms have been getting worse as the nutrition inflow and temperatures increase. In the past, they were confined to the western basin of Lake Erie, but now are moving into the central basin. The toxins in Lake Erie from the blue-green algae are 60 times higher in concentration than the safe levels recommended by the World Health Organization. Some algae can emit toxins into the water when they die. These toxins are increasing in appearance around the world as people continue to increase the limiting factor. In order to prevent these problems, the pathways in which phosphorus and nitrogen content may enter the water must be corrected, including agricultural runoff, household products such as detergents and cleaners, water treatment, and industrial pollution. All forms of algae blooms are toxic, but may have adverse effects on the environment. Algae can strip the water of oxygen, killing marine life. Algae can also stick to fish gills, causing death. The financial consequences of algae blooms can also be costly. Water treatment processes can sometimes remove cyanobacterial and the toxins that they produce, although sometimes the further steps are necessary because certain toxins are more difficult to remove. What are harmful algae blooms? Scientists prefer the term HABs or HABs to refer to bloom phenomena that contain toxins or that cause negative impacts. A small number of these species produce potent neurotoxins that can be transferred through the food web. This white scum can affect and can even kill higher forms of life, such as zooplankton, shellfish, birds, marine mammals, and even humans. Samples are collected to determine which species multiply, and if any toxins found in the water may be dangerous to human health. There are many health effects associated with algae. The toxins produced by harmful algae blooms are a concern for human health. Toxins are produced within the cells and remain there until the cells are broken open, which may lead to an unpredictable toxicity of the blooms. If elevated levels of certain cyanobacterial toxins are found in the water, Ingestion of this water may cause diarrhea, abdominal pain, headaches, fever, nausea, and vomiting. Boiling the water does not inactivate the cyanobacterial toxins. Physical contact with the water during recreational activities such as swimming can result in itchy and irritated eyes and/or skin, and other reactions that are similar to allergic reactions.
Back in the 1960s, researchers conducted experiments in the Canadian experimental lakes to control the problem of eutrophication that was appearing frequently in many bodies of water. Scientists divided a lake to see what limiting factor influenced eutrophication. It was discovered that phosphorus was a limiting factor involved in eutrophication. Since the 1960s to early 1980s, control strategies focused to reduce phosphorus from specific sources, including waste treatment plants and the reduced levels of phosphorus in detergents.
Algae blooms have affected the Great Lakes in the past and will continue to affect the Great Lakes unless action is taken. This photo shows many areas where algae blooms have been reported and are threatening the Great Lakes within Canada and the United States. One can see the areas of the Great Lakes most affected and threatened by algae and algae blooms. However, past chemical compounds containing phosphorus still exist in sediments, and current phosphorus loading from industrial and agricultural runoff contribute to eutrophication and give rise to large algal blooms. These algal blooms still threaten the Great Lakes, and currently increasing in abundance and threatening the Canadian waters by making them foul with decomposing algae and unpleasant to use for recreational activities or drinking.